It has been 50 years since the Mahanirvana of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. I had the rare good fortune of being present on the night of April 14th, 1950, when a brilliant star slowly sailed across the sky at the very moment the Maharshi took his last mortal breath. Even more than this, my destiny has been uniquely connected to the Maharshi from my birth. My father, Nagasundaram Iyer, was the younger brother of Sri Bhagwan. Not long after I was born, my mother passed away, and when I was 3 years old, my father took sannyas and joined Sri Bhagwan and their mother Alagamma at Skandashramam. I was then lovingly raised by Bhagwan's sister Alamelu and her husband Sri Pichu Iyer. Since they had no children of their own, and none of my father's brothers had any issues, I became the only remaining descendant in my family's line. As a child, I was brought to Tiruvannamalai 2 or 3 times each year to see Bhagwan, my father and grandmother Alagamma, when she was still living. Sometimes I was left in the care of Bhagwan and stayed overnight in the ashram. Like a mother, he would put me to sleep at night and then wake and wash me in the morning. My life flowed on smoothly. I was married in 1929. All my 7 children were brought to Bhagwan soon after their birth, and he was pleased to bless them by giving them their names. With Sri Bhagwan's consent and blessings, I was requested in 1938 to move to Tiruvannamalai and assist my father, Sri Niranjanananda Swami, in managing the ashram. After my father was absorbed in Sri Bhagwan in 1953, I succeeded him as the ashram manager and president. In all humility, I can say that Bhagwan has showered on me incredible grace and blessings from my birth to this very day. In 1984, my wife Nagalakshmi attained the holy feet of Sri Bhagwan. I continued serving in the ashram until 1994, at which time I resigned, handed over the presidentship of the ashram to my eldest son, Sri V.S. Ramanan, and took the vows of sannyas. I now live a quiet life in the ashram, remembering the holy presence of the Master and thanking him for his innumerable blessings on me and all his devotees the world over. After the Maharshi's Mahanirvana, we published many reminiscences about Bhagwan, written by devotees who moved closely with him. These books are a valuable testimony to the ever-present divine personality of the Master. What you are now about to see is yet another testimony to the living presence of Sri Ramana Maharshi. You will hear from the lips of those who had the wonderful privilege of living under the watchful, loving eye of Sri Maharshi, who was perhaps the greatest sage of the 20th century. I have known these devotees since I came here in 1938. We were like one family, and Bhagwan was our father, mother, our everything. He continues to attract sincere devotees to him from all over the world, as he lives not only in Sri Ramanashramam but in the hearts of all.
I first met Bhagwan on the 29th of September 1940, and I last met him in the first week of April 1950, a week before his death. During my first visit, a great man, Sir P.S. Yuswami Iyer, a wonderfully great man, I told him I was going. He said, "Don't go alone. Take somebody whom you like, to whom you are attached, take them." And so I took one old student, Subramaniam, one then student, Ismail, and my wife. So I went to this group of people. And for this, Shivaswami here is responsible. He told me he used to walk on Uttagaman, Nilgiri Hills. There's a place called Dodapetta, which is a steep precipice. From there, you can look into the abyss about 8,000 feet below. People like to look into it, look down, and in order not to fall, becoming giddy, they used to tie themselves up with a piece of rope. Somebody will hold the rope, and then you can look down. So he gave me this analogy and said, when you go to Bhagavan, you will swept off your feet, you will fall into the abyss.
I see.
And so be bound by attachment to some people. So I had 3 ropes, my wife, my students, they were fine people, all they were very good people. Many people went to him because they wanted their wishes fulfilled. Many people went to him because in their affliction they found consolation from him. Many people went to him with intellectual problems which he solved. So there are many, shall I say, demands on him, and he met them mostly. So far as I am concerned, I went because, see, 1927, I had heard of him, I had read about him. Kavyaganta came and spoke in my college. So I heard about Bhagavan, and many people have written to me. But at that time I was a fool, and I said, what is this man sitting on top of a hill and doing nothing? Here is Gandhi. Then in 1939-40, I passed through a series of very interesting experiences. One was, I read the poems of Gurugara. I know something about poetry. English term, poetry is poetry. Poetry is the bridge between the actual, phenomenal, and the ultimate real. Now, when I read Gurugara's poems, I said, good heavens, the man who inspired this kind of poetry is divine. Number one, that moved me completely. Gurugara completely converted me. Next thing that happened was that I had a very terrible domestic problem. A niece of mine had broken away from her husband, and various things happened. Good people, all good people. And I did not know what to do. I didn't want them to quarrel. They're both good people, but they parted, they married again, that's another story. You take it casually in America, we don't. So this thing happened. Then various things of the... most important of all, I used to spend vacations in Bangalore. Now during that vacation, that is April 1940, a famous Pandit, Sanskrit Pandit, great Sanskrit Pandit, systematically taught me the Brahma Sutras. Then I could see that behind this apparent laziness of Bhagavan was something very profound. And that man said, this is not mere theory. You go to Tirunamale, you see the man. So when a brigade scholar told me Bhagavan, Another very interesting thing was, you must have heard about Douglas Ainsley. Douglas Ainsley. He came to Madras. I was in Presidency College. I took him around because I'm myself a great admirer of Dante and Croce, Benedetto Croce, philosophy of the aesthetic, practical history. He was a great favorite of mine, and he knew Croce personally and he translated. And so after I spent a week with him, taking him to various places and so on, he casually asked me, have you seen Ramana Maharshi? Now here is an Englishman steeped in Italian philosophy telling me about Ramana. So I said, I should be ashamed. I was ashamed. Then I reported, you saw me, I'd like to go. He said, don't go by yourself. Tie yourself in many bonds. Well, I did. I'm still tied up. I haven't the courage to run away from her. You see, many people tell you, go to the Himalayas. Bhagavan is here. So all these things, so to say, compelled me. And all my problems were solved in 5 minutes. As I say again and again, in his presence, I felt like a little baby in its mother's lap. How to explain this?
சின்ன வயசுலேயே நான் சும்மா இருந்தேன். 16 வயசுலேயே 18வது வயசுல நினைக்கிறேன் பகவான் சொப்பனத்திலே தான் நான் காட்சி கொடுத்தார் முதல்ல.
At a very young age, when I was around 18 years old, Bhagavan appeared to me in a dream. In the dream, I saw this hill and Bhagavan walking towards me. I could even see a Shivalinga in the dream. Before this, Krishna used to appear in my dreams frequently. But here was a person I had never seen before. I was captivated by him. Our family deity was Vishnu, and we used to offer puja to Vishnu and Krishna. However, seeing a Shivalinga in the dream puzzled me. At that age, I could not comprehend the dream. Right from then onwards, my mind changed. Having been a coward since childhood, I would not even walk to the veranda of my house at night. But after having obtained the darshan of Bhagavan in my dream, the fear that had gripped me left me. It was only at the age of 20 that I got a book on Bhagavan. It was the Ramana Vijayam, written by Sudhananda Bharati. At the mere touch of the book, I lost body consciousness. My whole body became numb, and it was with great difficulty that I managed to come back and sit next to my friend. Noticing my plight, she commented, "You should not read all sorts of books. Your family members would be cross with you. You don't need to read such books at your young age. A little bit of reading may be fine, but not spending all 24 hours with such books." Those days, I would spend all my time reading spiritual books like Jnana Vasishta, Bhagavad Gita, etc. I curiously opened Ramana Vijayam for the first time. As soon as I did so, I saw a picture of the young Bhagavan. I fell down on the impact of seeing the picture. What book is this? I wondered. Don't read this book. I think this book will change your life, my friend warned me. I saw her off and took the book to bed with me. I was afraid that I would swoon again. So I lay down on the bed to read the book. As I read the book, I was so absorbed that I didn't feel my goosebumps. My eyes kept closing involuntarily. I later understood that this was meditation as prescribed in Bhagavan's path. In my family, women were not allowed to leave the house, not to mention leaving the town. However, after reading Ramana Vijayam, I felt I should meet Ramana Maharshi before giving up this body, whatever the consequences. The book provided me with this vairagya, but I could not leave home immediately, and it was 2 years before I was successful. I left home stealthily with my brother's help. He is also a spiritual person and is a sadhu now. I reached Arunachala with the help of a servant. Having reached there, I was filled with guilt for having run away from home and remorse for having done a wrong thing in order to achieve good ends. I wished I had been born in some other family. I felt very depressed. I came to Bhagavan's Sannidhi outside the old hall. Ommandua Reddyar was seated among the audience at that time. I had gone to the office to inquire about Bhagavan and was told that he was near the well. When I came to the well, I could not see Bhagavan, only a flame of fire. I asked for directions to go to Bhagavan, and they have sent me to a sacrificial place, I said to myself. As I stood there, Bhagavan appeared at that very spot. I thought I had this delusion of seeing fire instead of Bhagavan because I had come in from the hot sun. It was only later that I realized that Bhagavan had given me Jyoti Darshana. I could feel the Spurana in my heart. Bhagavan said, "You have come home. Sit down." I sat down in front of him, but did not ask him anything. There were so many people around, and I was not used to it. I had no idea what to ask him anyway. I spent 3 days sitting in front of Bhagavan. However, the feeling of guilt of running away from home continued to haunt me. One day, Bhagavan narrated his story to Ommandua Reddyar. I ran away from home too. I was afraid that somebody might catch hold of me and take me back home. I was running away like a thief. If it was so difficult for me, how much more difficult would it be for a woman? These words of Bhagavan wiped out my sense of guilt completely. Those words of Bhagavan also removed any residual fear in me entirely. Since then, I have gone round the hill alone several times, even at night. I would go without telling anybody. There was no fear. If I had fear, how could I have stayed here alone? About my running away, Bhagavan said, "What about it? That may be needed." I was 16 when I came here. Moreover, she is a young girl. That is how one must do it if need be. What's wrong about it? At the time of Bhagavan's Mahanirvana, I was at Rajapalyam. That night, at the same time, I saw a beautiful blue light going up in the sky, and I knew Bhagavan had left the body. I did not want to live after that, and so I started to fast, hoping to drop the body that way. For 5 or 6 days, I did not touch food. But during that time, I had several visions, and in one of them, I was taken inside a cave on the hill and saw rishis performing yajnas. Sri Bhagavan was seated there. Bhagavan said, "Why are you crying? Why this anguish? You say that I have gone away, but where have I gone? I am here. Can you not see me?" Some rishis brought some prasad to Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan took some and gave it to me. I did not remember in the dream that I was fasting, so I ate the prasad given to me by Bhagavan. For 5 days afterwards, the smell of the prasad was with me. Now, was that a dream or reality? I consider it to be Bhagavan's grace. The morning after the dream, I started taking food and coffee. My brother and sister were also fasting with me, deciding to give up their bodies if I were to give up mine. From that day onwards, I had no thought at all that Bhagavan had left us. He is all-pervading. I felt no more sorrow in my heart. He is here too. See how we all are gathered here. What have we done to deserve this?
The next day, we had a meeting with Bhagavan. Just then Bhagavan had arrived in the present premises of the ashram, where there are no buildings at all. There is only a shed covering the samadhi of mother. Bhagavan was seated on a bench under a tree, under the shade of a tree. He had the dog Rose lying on that bench. He was gently stroking the dog. I wondered, among us Brahmins, the dog is an animal whose touch will defile the purity. A good part of my respect for the Maharshi was gone when I saw him touching that unclean animal. For all its cleanliness and neatness, it was unclean from the Brahmin point of view. I had another question. I was then an agnostic. I said, nature can take care of itself. Where is the need for a creator? What is the fun of writing all these books telling cock and bull stories which do not chant the search of reason. I wanted to put in straight question whether there is a soul, whether there is a God, whether there is a salvation. All these three questions are included in one question. Well, sir, you are sitting there like this. You are sitting like this. I can see your present condition. What is your next sthiti? The word in Sanskrit sthiti means the state or condition. What is your future state? In Sanskrit, it means sta, tit, to stand. That is the posture, the stand, to stand. Maharshi did not answer the question. Oh, you are taking shelter under this glum, indifferent silence from answering an inconvenient question. The thought flashed in my mind. Simultaneously, I felt as if I had a bomb exploding under my seat. The Maharshi exploded. Sthiti. What do you mean? What do you mean by sthiti? I was not prepared for that question. Oh, this man is very dangerous. He is dangerously alive. And the answer with proper care. So I said, if I ask him about the body, it's a useless question. The body may be burnt or buried. What I wanted to ask him about is the condition of something within the body. Of course, I can recognize a mind inside of me. Well, I was out to say about the mind. But if he puts the question, what is mind? I was prepared to answer. All these were passing across my mind. As I was looking at him, he was looking with a fierce look. I question, what is mind? Of course, mind is made of thoughts. What are thoughts? I landed in a void. No answer. I could not present a question about a mind which did not exist. The mind was a thing that existed for me. I found it does not exist. I was bewildered. I simply sat like a statue. Two pairs of eyes were gripping each other. The eyes of the Maharshi and my eyes were gripping each other in a tight embrace. I had no sense of body. Nothing except those two pairs of eyes. Except a pair of eyes. I don't know how long it continued. When I came to myself, I was terribly afraid of the man. This is a dangerous man. In spite of myself, I prostrated and got away from his company. That look was not unfamiliar to me. That was the look which the Maharshi gave in my 14th year.
அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. இப்படி என் லைஃப்ல பிகினிங்ல எல்லாம்
This incident took place after Bhagavan had moved to the new hall.
பகவான் நியூ ஹால்
During those days, the front row closest to Bhagavan was reserved for the important people,
ஃப்ரண்ட் எல்லாம் அப்ப கூட முக்கியமான வாழ தான் உட்காருவோம் அந்த காலத்துல.
although Bhagavan did not know about it.
அவாவா எப்போ ஒரு அரேஞ்ச்மெண்ட்
There was a specific unspoken seating arrangement, and others who occupied those places would even be asked to go and sit elsewhere.
அப்ப நான் என்ன பண்ணேன்னு கேட்டா, நான்
On this day, the front row was empty.
கிட்ட உட்கார்ந்துட்டு இருக்கோம்.
Rani Majumdar and myself were sitting by the window at the end of the hall.
யாரும் உட்காரல.
Rani suggested that the two of us could sit there close to Bhagavan.
ஃப்ரண்ட் ரோனா என்ன தெரியுமா உங்களுக்கு? பகவானோட கல் சோபாக்கு எதிர்க்க
I agreed.
அந்த ரெண்டாவது தூண் இருக்கே.
The front row would begin at the pillars closest to Bhagavan's couch.
உட்கார மாட்டேன்.
No one could sit right beside the couch in order to give people room to move about.
எங்களை பார்த்து ஒரு தெலுங்கம்மா காமேஸ்வரமா நாங்க உட்கார்ந்து
On seeing the two of us, a Telugu lady called Kameswaramma also came and sat next to us in the front row. The three of us were directly facing Bhagavan.
உட்கார்ந்த உடனே
As soon as we had settled there, Bhagavan began looking directly at me.
தீக்ஷ்ணமா என்னே பார்க்கிறார்.
Unable to bear the intensity of his direct look,
பகவானோட பார்வை என் கண்ணுல பட்ட உடனே என் கண்ணு தாங்கிக்க முடியல.
I immediately closed my eyes.
கண் மூடி இருக்கேன்.
How long I remained like that, I do not know.
அப்புறம் மத்தியில நான்
But some time later, I opened my eyes and found Bhagavan seated motionless, looking at me just as before.
மறுபடியும் கண்ண மூடிட்டேன். கொஞ்ச நேரத்துல என்ன ஆச்சுன்னா மௌனி இருக்கார்.
I closed my eyes again.
தபால் கொண்டு வந்து கொடுப்பார்.
Some time later,
சீனிவாசராவ்
Mauni Srinivasa Rao
தபால் எடுத்துன்னு வந்தார்.
came with the day's tapal.
தபால் எடுத்துன்னு வந்த உடனே அப்ப நான் கண்ண மூடிருக்கேன். எனக்கு என்னன்னு தெரியாது. நான் அப்படியே கண்ண மூடின்னு உட்கார்ந்திருக்கேன்.
Hearing Bhagavan talk to him, I opened my eyes.
அப்ப வந்து பகவான் என்ன பண்றதுக்கு பேச ஆரம்பிச்சார்.
However, I was still in the same state that I was in when my eyes were closed and didn't really register anything that was happening.
மூடின்னு இருந்த போது எந்த நிலையில இருக்கோ அந்த நிலையிலே நான் கண்ணு திறந்துட்டேனே தவிர மேதி சூழ்நிலை பத்தி சட்டுன்னு
After attending to the tapal, Bhagavan got up to leave for the Goshala.
அழுத்தினபடி அப்படியே
I got up along with everybody else, but again, without any real awareness of my surroundings.
மௌனி தபால் பார்த்து முடிச்சிட்டு போயிட்டார். போயிட்ட உடனே பகவான்
Kameswaramma, who was sitting next to me, hugged me and said, Kanakamma, you are extremely fortunate.
பக்கத்துல இருக்கிற ஆனந்தம் இந்த காமேஸ்வரம்
Ever since you sat there, Bhagavan has continuously been looking directly at you until Mauni got the tapal.
எனக்கு அவளுக்கு என்ன பதில் சொல்றதுன்னு தெரியல. நானும் பார்க்கறேன். நீ அங்க உட்கார்ந்ததுல இருந்து பகவான் உன்னையே
You have got everything.
மௌனி தபால்
Bhagavan has given you all that you need.
உனக்கு எல்லாம் கிடைச்சாச்சு. உனக்கு என்ன வேணுமோ பகவான் கொடுத்தாச்சு. நீ ரொம்ப
So saying,
அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அப்படியே
she hugged me close to her.
ஆனா
But I was in no state to give a reply.
நான் இல்ல.
I just told her,
தண்ணி விழுது
tears are streaming down my eyes.
அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டேன். அந்த மாதிரி உள்ள இருக்கிற
I don't know what to say.
அலைகளை வந்து என்ன அப்படியே அடக்கி விட்டு
The waves of peace coming over me kept me from talking.
हृदय कुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् ह्यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनिरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्.
I came from Tondanguruchi, where I had a stall to distribute water to the needy. One day, a sadhu came and gave me Bhagavan's Upadesa Saram, and a photograph of Bhagavan. I saw Bhagavan's picture and was instantaneously captivated. I decided that I must see Bhagavan immediately. I hastened to Tiruvannamalai the very same night and have never gone back. It happened to be a full moon night. When I arrived at Tiruvannamalai, I chanced to meet Seshadri Swami at a corner of the Rettai Pillayar Koil close to the big temple and received his blessings. I then went to Sri Bhagavan. When I came to the ashram, there was just a shed over the mother's shrine and Bhagavan was seated there. One day, after completing the construction of the ashram dispensary, I was feeling tired and was reclining against a wall of the dining hall. Bhagavan came up to me and said, "I'm afraid to even look at you." I asked him why that should be so. He said, "If I would just look in one direction, you would construct a structure there." This was of course in jest, but it also meant that I could understand Bhagavan's subtle instructions and follow them meticulously. This was great appreciation showered upon me by Sri Bhagavan. Once I was about to construct some steps when Bhagavan gave me a beating. I was asked to repair some steps behind the dining hall. In those days, money and materials were scarce. I asked Ramaswamy Pillai to get 3 or 4 measures of cement. Now, in Tamil, the word padi stands for both measure as well as for steps. Bhagavan asked me how many padis, meaning how many steps I was constructing. I thought he wanted to know how many measures of cement I was ordering. Bhagavan gave me a playful slap and said, "I'm asking about one padi and you're answering about another." On another occasion, I was cementing the surface below the water tap to be used to clean vessels. Bhagavan was sitting next to me, giving me instructions. As I got up, I banged my head hard against the tap. Bhagavan asked Madhava Swami to bring Zamba and personally massage my head for a long time. Though I had pain in my head, I kept reminding myself of Bhagavan's teaching, which was to give up the I am the body idea. I also thanked the tap for giving me this opportunity to receive a massage from the golden hands of Sri Bhagavan. It is said in Ashrama, "Unless thou extends thy hand of grace and embrace me, I am lost. Have mercy on me, O Arunachala." Or, "Graciously enfold me body to body, limb to limb, or I am lost, O Arunachala." In the earlier days, Madhava Swami, Rangaswami Subramanyam and I used to massage the sole of Bhagavan's feet with oil at night and put our heads against his feet to receive his grace after completing the massage. Bhagavan used to pretend to be asleep when we did this. However, when large crowds started coming to the ashram regularly, we had to stop this practice of ours. When we tried to massage him, Bhagavan would say that if I did so, then everybody would want to touch him.
Vande Sri Ramana Rishehe Acharyasya Padabjam Yo me darshayadisham Bhantam Dhvantamatitya Kathaya nijaya kalusham harata karuna nidhina runa shailajusha Bhagavahana bhashita tattvavida Vrishavahana mauna rahasya bhrita Ganaranmukha suri sabha guruna guna sanchaya ratna mahodadhina Dhana gudha sahasrakarena yatha tanukanchuka gupta maha mahasa Chaturena chalendriya nigrahane patuna
I grew up in Bhagavan's hometown, Tiruchuri. My father-in-law was a revenue inspector and Bhagavan's father was a lawyer. I lived in Tiruchuri for 3 years when his father was alive. I was married when I was 13 years old and lived at my in-laws' place for 2 years. When I was 15, my husband passed away. I then came to Tiruchuri and stayed at home all the time. It was at the age of 28 that I came to Bhagavan. I had not seen him before. My sister was married to a doctor, son of Tiruchuri's Lakshmi Ammal. In those days, my brother-in-law and my sister's mother-in-law used to say that a boy who used to live in Tiruchuri had become a great saint and now lives in Tiruvannamalai. They wanted me to see him. I refused, saying that it was not proper for me to leave home. Finally, they persuaded me to come here in 1928. When I came here, the old hall was already built, and Dandapani Swami, Muruganar's father-in-law, was in charge. He used to run a coffee shop earlier. Seeing me, he introduced me to Bhagavan as a relative Sambandhi of Lakshmi Ammal. Bhagavan gave a happy smile and said, "Varatom, Varatom. She is welcome, she is welcome." I had come with a return ticket, which was valid for 15 days. I stayed for 15 days. When I took leave of Bhagavan, he handed me a copy of Who Am I? While I was here, I had my periods, so I had to be away for 3 days. Tennamma, the kitchen help, was preparing special food for me. She was grinding the chutney when Bhagavan came into the dining hall, and seeing that, asked Tennamma what she was doing. When she informed Bhagavan that due to the pollution of my periods, she was serving me Yachamma's rice and the chutney outdoors. Bhagavan was annoyed and said, "There is no pollution. Give her ashram food. Why do you segregate her like this?" My next visit was only after a year, and that also happened in a beautiful way. It seems the ashram was contemplating writing a letter to me, asking me to come and help in the kitchen. At that time, Sri Seshayar, a lawyer from Kakinada, and a father of 6 sons and a daughter, visited my village to meet his relatives. He was going to Tiruvannamalai and asked me to go with him. The moment I entered the hall, Bhagavan remarked, "See, you wanted to write to her, and she has already arrived." Bhagavan and I used to cut vegetables, make paste, and make other preparations for cooking. Even for dosa, we used to grind together. It was a great joy to work along with Bhagavan. He was always in a joyful mood. Even a few words spoken by Bhagavan or a stay of few minutes with him used to take away whatever sorrowful or dejected mood we were in. In those days, there was water scarcity for 6 months. So cooking was a difficult task during those 6 months of scarcity. We used to fetch water from the well in Palakotu and fill up a big vessel in the kitchen. Later, Bhagavan then had his well dug outside the dining hall, after which there was no water scarcity. I worked in the kitchen for 5 years. Santamma, Tennamma and Subbalakshmi Amma used to work with me. Bhagavan would come with other sadhus to cut vegetables at 5 o'clock or so. We did all the 3 meals of the day: breakfast, lunch and dinner. The food was all prepared by me, and I also had to serve Bhagavan. He liked it very much and insisted that I should serve him. Bhagavan's way of cooking was always very delightful. One day, he asked me to cook the brinjal, eggplant tops, that had been left over along with some green peas. I argued that the tops were too thick and would not cook properly. He convinced me that I should cook it and told me that it would turn out all right. When it did not cook well, I went to the hall once or twice to tell him that it was still not cooked. Bhagavan then came and started stirring it. Surprisingly, it was cooked nicely.
Bhagavan himself said, "Where am I to go? I am sure," he said. The same he is keeping up the world. How can you, what you are entering this office, ashram premises versus the gate itself, you put some sort of peace that anybody can enjoy that, but even not a devotee. That is always here. So his presence is felt here always. A jnani has no going or coming. He is always present. So if that is the case, there is no way to do the physical form is not necessary unless you are developed freely to understand what is Bhagavan. Then only it is, even after coming here and sitting in the hall for months together, I was not able to understand Bhagavan. What is Bhagavan? What is he? What is he giving? What is he doing? Who is he? After some months only, I went to know what is Bhagavan. It is the Supreme Being, flesh and blood, perfection to the core. We cannot say. They say avatars, but he is not an avatar, just above that state. He is the Supreme Being, personified embodiment. Face to face we sat among us, slept along with him, took our food with him, and sat with him at his feet for years together. And we say, Vedic age, we hear about rishis, the annals of history. We do not hear anything about such a great sage. He is the greatest sage of our time. In Vedic age also, there were rishis. They have got their own impulses. They get anger, they get lust, everything. But can we say anything about our Bhagavan? No, we can't say. And also Mr. Chadwick told, if at all there is anybody fit to express the greatness of Bhagavan, it is Bhagavan himself. What, will Bhagavan do that? No. That is the way, that is the greatness of Bhagavan. His bewitching smile, his beaming forehead, his glittering radiant eyes, his sweet voice with measured words, his sweet form, majestic form, still we see in our days. There is nothing felt because his physical form is absent, we do not feel any difference. Still his power is more potent and more powerful and always here.
ॐ महासेन महोंशेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः
There was a lame puppy in the ashram, small and black. It would eat anything that was offered. Anantanarayan Rao, a devotee and a veterinarian, was asked by Bhagavan to take care of this puppy. In the morning, this puppy would be given idlis for breakfast. It would then relieve itself in front of the ashram office and create a nuisance for people there. When I was informed of this, I was angry at the dog and instructed the kitchen staff not to give him idlis. The dog ran to Bhagavan and complained, its tail wagging. When I told Bhagavan that the dog was denied idlis in accordance with my instructions, Bhagavan was annoyed and said, "Oh ho, you're using your power. So many people have used power and have become power mad. Now it's your turn." The next morning, while Bhagavan sat for breakfast, he refused to take idlis and relented only when all of us prostrated before him, begging him to have his breakfast and promising that the puppy would be fed every day. That puppy used to eat even human waste and then come to Bhagavan. He would take his towel and wipe its face and keep the towel under his armpit, which won't be clean till the next morning. When we showed our displeasure, Bhagavan retorted, "Yes, yes, you all pretend to be clean. Only the outside is clean. Is the inside clean?" When he said that, we felt very ashamed. I listened to a sadhu lecture on Jnana Vasishta and about the samadhi state, but he himself was never in samadhi. I wondered if it was all just mere talk and theory, and whether there existed someone who was actually in the state of samadhi. When I put this question to the sadhu, he told me not to have any doubts, and that there was a jnani right then in Tiruvannamalai who had attained the realization at the age of 16. He hadn't read any Vedantic texts, but was a Mahajnani who had attained the highest state and was always in samadhi. The sadhu mentioned that he has had Bhagavan's darshan. The moment I heard this, I was thrilled. The name Ramana Maharshi felt like nectar in my ears. Tears welled up in my eyes and my whole body quivered with joy. The urge to go see him welled up in me. In a few days, I set forth to Tiruvannamalai. Bhagavan was living in Skandashramam then. I was overjoyed to see the Sadguru. I narrated all that had happened in Malayalam, the only language I knew then, and it was a boon for me that Bhagavan could follow and converse in that language fluently. I told Bhagavan that I had stopped doing japa and that I had not experienced samadhi as described in the Vedantic scriptures and was very confused. I prayed to him for peace of mind. After patiently hearing me out, Bhagavan quoted a verse from Kaivalya Navanitam which says, "If you realize who you are, there is no cause for sorrow." I did not know what was meant by "know who you are." Seeing me blinking in ignorance, Bhagavan proceeded to tell me that the mind is mere thoughts, and knowing oneself is to find the source of all thoughts. So saying, he pointed to his heart. Until then, I was concentrating only on the Bhumadhya. However, when I turned my attention to the heart, I was led to samadhi quickly. It was like a flash of lightning, and I lost body consciousness. I realized that Bhagavan had given me the samadhi experience. He was looking at me all along. I was looking into his eyes when I went into samadhi. It was then time for lunch. After lunch also I came to Bhagavan's presence. Then by a single look, Bhagavan put me into samadhi again. Thenceforth, I would immerse myself in that blissful state again and again, oblivious of the body. In fact, I occasionally used to touch myself to check whether I had a body or not. I spent a happy 18 days like this at Skandashramam. Someone used to offer food to Bhagavan, from which all of us were also given a share. I started feeling guilty that instead of offering food to the Guru, we were eating out of his share, and that this was not proper. Also at home, I had my own room, where I could practice in peace, as I felt I was established in samadhi. I felt I could remain in samadhi all day at home. Besides, this would absolve me of the sin of causing my Guru loss of food. I went back to my village, but as the time passed, the intensity of meditation lessened. When I noticed that I could no longer be in samadhi, I understood that the samadhi anubhava is by the grace of the Guru and not by my own attainment. I felt that I shouldn't have come away from Bhagavan, and that had Bhagavan used the same logic, he would have gone back to Tiruchuri. When I returned to Skandashram, Perumal Swami was attending to Bhagavan's personal needs, like bringing hot water for him and so forth. Perumal Swami taught me how to look after Bhagavan's needs and entrusted me with that job, as he had to leave for the nearby Kovilur Math to attend some festivities. While I was attending on Bhagavan, I told him how the intensity of samadhi had lessened once in my village. Bhagavan very graciously quoted from Kaivalya Navanitam that the samadhi anubhava occurs to everyone and anyone by the mere presence of the Sadguru or by reading his works, but it would not be permanent. Bhagavan further explained that the state of Sthita Prajna has to be attained by Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. Again, he quoted from Kaivalya Navanitam, where it is said that just as one would dig the ground, plant a pole and pack the dirt back in order to secure the pole, one must practice incessantly in order to make the experience of samadhi permanent. Again quoting Kaivalya Navanitam, he said that as long as the duality of the knower and known remains, one must practice. These words of Bhagavan cleared my doubts, and I have been with him ever since, serving him and following his instructions by his grace.
Now I am 94, 95 or 94. These trees I am making what I was living here. What do you think matter whether I live here or there? The practice you practice. Who am I? Who am I? Not where am I or whence am I? Who am I? Leave the other things, don't confuse yourself with other questions. And see who you are. Where you are not in sleep, now you have come. Where from you have come, you can see. It's a clue. It's the only way. Bhagavan also has said it somewhere. So you believe in Bhagavan, have absolute faith in Bhagavan and try to practice this who am I. Mind will be easily. Whether there is a mind or no mind, it is material. But mind is, you realize, you understand what you are, what my mind is. Everything will be clear then. You concentrate, if you want to understand a thing. You focus, you concentrate the same thing introspectively. But it's not you concentrate in the brain. Introspection goes to the heart. That's the difference. It goes directly to the heart. Because I is from the heart. From I is everything ends in I. And all our your literature, your philosophy, your this, everything, all I. I know this. Radha Krishna, yes, I. Whoever it is. But a jnani is beyond I. So I don't want to presume or assume I am a jnana, but I know what I am telling you, if you agree, if it is please you. It is very simple. You must know the method, the technique of it, so to say. It's a technique, no doubt. Because you know words. It's as I told you, it's nearly trying to remember a forgotten thing. You must focus. Yes, I know. You say like that. But here, who am I, Bhagavan? I was not in sleep. Where were I in sleep? Where from now I have come? Where from you have come now? In sleep you are not. Can you tell me the place where you were in sleep? No. But if you focus, if you have attention, there is a evolution. You understand? But it will take some time. No thoughts. No dream. Waking is only daydream. Because you have changed so many of your ideas about things. Your opinion or ideas about men and things. What does it mean? If it is real, it must be permanent. But you have changed it from your birth or from majority, you have attained your major person. After that you have changed many views, many opinions, many thoughts. Therefore, nothing is permanent. But you are permanent. You are in sleep also, because you know the experience of sleep. It was pleasant, it was happy. You are still, you say, but you must still be. Try. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Don't give it up. But you will get it, Bhagavan's grace. And this Arunachala, don't think it's an ordinary rock or a hill. It is an omnipotent. It has dragged Bhagavan here, so to say, for our benefit.
Prasaratadita Shubhavilokitam Ramanate Sakrit Phalatu Me Kritam Ramana Janmina Mai Bhavan Guruhu Abhida Ashaya Stava Mahanuruhu Jagadahampara Spurati Metrayam Sadabhidam Gira Tava Visamshayam Tvadupadeshato Galati Samvida Mayi Niranyaya Sadahamorphida Ahamiyontara Stamamalam Hridi Anubhave Mabho Stava Kripayadi.
he was a being whose advent into this world would bless the earth goddess. There is a line in Sanskrit in Bhagavata which says, Dhanya Bhagavati Yukshoni Mahatam Padachinnita. They put their feet on the earth feels blessed. To my mind, he was one of the most glorious beings that have ever visited this earth. The more you live with him, the more you feel that you have done something in the past something great which entitled you to deserve association with Bhagavan. Being with him is being elevated. You need not talk with him. You need not discuss with him. You need not try to learn from him through speech. He was pouring out his grace like the rays of the sun. No stopping, ever. It was for you to receive it. You must have the proper receptivity. Of course, we could not do it all the time, being weak. Whatever we could receive, we could observe, went into us without our knowing it and remade us. There was no special effort needed on our part. It was all his. The effort was not really ours. Of course, he had no need of any effort to make. But he was molding us, he was shaping us. If only we did not put any psychological obstruction between himself and us, like doubting, like mental distraction on our part. Without my effort, Bhagavan's figure comes before my mind, off and down, sometimes intensely. So there is no need for me to revive my memory, as it were, by an effort. It is as if he has occupied my being. That is what Bhagavan would do to anyone. Provided we are utterly sincere. Insincerity would not pay in regard to Bhagavan, however great a person might be. Once he knows you are sincere, you get everything from Bhagavan. Even now, I do feel he will answer your call, provided it is really sincere. He is here near you, wherever you be, in the heart he is, as the self.